Yo, what's up guys, it's King Sean here, back with another video, and in today's video, I'll be bringing you guys my post-free agency 7-round mock draft for the Washington Commanders. This will be my 5th mock draft of the offseason. I'll be releasing one more before the draft officially begins in about 4 weeks from now on April 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern. This will have all 9 of our picks in this mock draft, of course. I'll be breaking down and discussing each and every player, their strengths and weaknesses, and why I feel like we should draft them. So, if you guys are new to my channel, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm on the road to 3K subs. If you could hit that sub button, I really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. With our first round pick number 2 overall, I have us selecting quarterback Drake Maye from North Carolina. As y'all know, I've been preaching it all offseason. I absolutely love Drake Maye. I love his intangibles. I love his elite arm talent. I love his elite athleticism. He is super, super good. He has a prototypical size for a quarterback. He actually just had his pro day today, and he looked pretty good. He was 69 of 74 on throws today. He did miss throws a lot, like early on. He missed some outside the numbers, but towards the middle of his pro day and towards the end, he started to really pick it up. I mean, his deep ball is absolutely incredible. We all knew that he had incredible arm strength and arm talent. But man, them deep balls, those were on the absolute money. He was rolling out and throwing them, scrambling and throwing. Like, it was beautiful, man. His pro day was really good. I feel like him and Jaden Daniels, they had very similar pro days. And take pro days with a grain of salt. They aren't everything because, you know, you're throwing against no defense, just in a shirt with some short pants on. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But Drake Maye, he did look really good today at his pro day. But like I said, he has a prototypical size, the build for a quarterback at 6'4", 227 pounds. It's 223 pounds on the graph because that's what he weighed in at the combine, but he weighed in at 227 at his pro day today, so put on a couple more pounds for that. Like I said, great athleticism, is a very good processor, which is what you want to see out of your potential franchise quarterback. And he's good at throwing outside of numbers. Now, he wasn't great today at his pro day, but when he turned on the the game film, the tape, he is really good at throwing outside of the numbers. And like I said, he has amazing arm talent. Now, some things he needs to cleaned up is his footwork. Now, his footwork looked really good today at his pro day. Now, like I said, just a pro day, so take it with a grain of salt. But his footwork, it looked really good, super good, in fact. On the game film, on the tape, his footwork was a bit, bad here and there. Was a bit questionable, but overall, it wasn't horrible to me. He can improve it somewhat, but I feel like guys like Tavita Pritchard and Cliff Kingsbury, they will get him right for sure. That is easily, that's an easy fix, right? That's a fix right there. It's not an easy fix, you got to work on it throughout the offseason, but it's definitely one that he can definitely fix. He likes to play hero ball a bit too much, kind of like Josh Allen. That's why he gets a lot of Josh Allen and Justin Herbert comps. I feel like that you can clean that up, definitely, though, because he had 9 interceptions this past season, but like a lot of his interceptions were very, very bad. I mean, he kind of forced the ball in tight, windows. Well, not tight windows, but just in bad situations where there was like 2 or more defenders in that area, and he just forced it when he was going towards to the ground, getting tackled by a defender, where he just didn't need to throw the ball, just take the sack or throw it out of bounds. Didn't need to force it into any area. So that's one thing he needs to work on. But I feel like he can definitely work on just, stop with the forcing balls in areas you shouldn't be forcing it in. And then he had kind of a poor end to the 2023 season. His 2022 season was incredible. The 2023 season, still pretty good, but he just had a bit of a slow end in the 2023 season. And, UNC's offensive line was pretty bad this past season. He was constantly getting pressure in his face, and the weapons weren't as good compared to prior years like 2021 and 2022. So I feel like that's why he kind of had a dip in production towards the end of the 2023 season. Well, not production per se, but just play in general. So I feel like that's the reason why, a lot of teams, well, not a lot of teams, just a lot of fans, experts, analysts aren't as high as on Drake Maye as other people around the football world is. But overall, I would love, if the Commanders were to draft Drake Maye too. Like I said, I don't care who we draft between Drake Maye and Jaden Daniels at 2. I do prefer Drake Maye, though, and I would absolutely love to see the Commanders draft him at number 2 overall. Next up, with our first second-round pick number 36 overall, I was taking tackle Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. like Drake May, I've had Jordan Morgan go in a couple of our mock drafts so far. I really like Jordan Morgan. All right, he's super good. He's 6'5", 311 pounds. He has great strength. He has kind of underrated athleticism, in my opinion. Now, he does have some short arms, which, separates himself from other tackles in this draft class in a negative way, kind of, because guys like Amarius Mims, I think Amarius Mims has like 36-inch arms, which is insane. I'm pretty sure Jordan Morgan only has like 31-inch arms, which, that's short. That's a bit short, but that didn't really seem to affect him in college with Arizona. Now, that might affect him in the NFL, but we saw like Troy Fautanu, the tackle out of Washington, the tackle prospect out of Washington. People were kind of concerned with his size, and he measured in good at the combine. I'm pretty sure his arms were like 35, 36 inches, which is pretty good right there. So, and he showed on the field workouts why, he should be considered as a tackle and why he's probably not going to move to guard in the NFL, which is the right move for him. But as for Jordan Morgan, he's one of my favorite tackle prospects in this draft. He has very good feel for the depth of the pocket, very athletic in the lower half of his body, and a very explosive athlete, which is all good. Like I stated, though, the short arm length could kind of hurt him in the NFL. I don't think that should be a huge weakness for him because, like I said, people had that same concern for Troy Fautanu, but it shouldn't be a huge issue with him. Other guys like Graham Barton, he's probably going to move inside to guard, most likely, kind of like Skoronski did last season. Well, when people, had him moving from tackle to guard, that was the best fit for him. Graham Barton will do the same. But as for Jordan Morgan, I think he'll be fine at tackle. If he's not good at tackle, just moving inside to like left guard, pairing with Sam Cosmi at right guard, all should be good. Now, if we do that, we wouldn't have any tackles. We'll see about that. But I feel like Jordan Morgan, he should be just fine at left tackle. He does have inconsistent balance through contact. That's something he needs to work on. And then long arm defensive ends and edge rushers can easily separate from him against the run because of his short arm length. So like I said, in college with Arizona, didn't really affect him, his short arm length. But in the NFL, long arm edge rushers, defensive ends, they could easily separate from him in the run game, which could be a concern. But overall, Jordan Morgan, if we were to pick him, he would be a shoe-in at the left tackle position for the Commanders for sure. All right, so with our second round pick number 40 overall, I was taking wide receiver Troy Franklin out of Oregon. This pick right here, it was hard to make up my mind. I was debating between him, Troy Franklin, and Xavier Legette. Franklin and Legette, I love them both. Legette, he's physical, he's mean, he's nasty. I mean, he's like a mix between Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown. He has A.J. Brown's size while having Deebo Samuel's yards after catch ability and having the ability to go up and get the ball. I love Legette as a wide receiver, but I do take him in my mock drafts all the time, really, so I did want to switch it up a little bit, taking Troy Franklin. A lot of mock drafts have had him falling to the second round. I feel like if he falls to the second, not 100% sure if he makes it to 40, he might go to the Panthers at 33 because he's a very good wide receiver prospect. He's 6'2", 176 pounds. He does have a lean frame, which could concern some NFL teams. Now, if you remember Garrett Wilson, he was like 179, 180 pounds, so a lean frame too. So I wouldn't be too, concerned about Troy Franklin's frame, 6'2", 176 pounds. He should be just fine in the NFL with that frame. He has great speed, first of all, great explosiveness. I mean, he's open. He was open all the time. When you turn on the tape, the film, even watch some highlights, he was open all the time at Oregon. I mean, even some plays, if you turn on the film, he was wide open. Bo Nix just completely missed him, like just didn't look his way, or maybe overthrew him here and there. So he was just open all the time in Oregon. He's a very vertical runner. He's a vertical threat, which is really good. But he can run routes. Like, it's unlike Dyami Brown, who, coming out of college, he was a vertical threat. All experts, analysts were calling him a vertical threat. And his route tree, it just really wasn't developed. But Troy Franklin, he has a pretty solid route tree. He, like I said, great vertical wideout, always open, has excellent release quickness at the line of scrimmage, which is very important into getting open and into getting that acceleration in order to get open, getting that speed, all very important for Troy Franklin. So those are some of his strengths. Some of his weaknesses include a bit inconsistent when tracking balls downfield. That's something he should work on when he gets into the lead. could struggle against physicality with his lean frame. Now, like I said, I don't think that should be a big issue. Maybe he can add on a couple pounds of muscle, maybe like 5 to 10 pounds of muscle. You could say that made him lose a little bit of his speed, but I don't think so. He should be just fine. But maybe add on a few pounds of muscle, he should be all right against that physicality. And had some drop issues, specifically focus drop issues at Oregon. I think he had like 2, 3, maybe even more drops that were all focus drops. I think he can, fix that in the NFL, and he will be just fine. So overall, Troy Franklin at 40, I feel like that will be an absolute steal. I feel like he should go in the first round, or at least like between like picks maybe 20 to 35 at least. Like the lowest he should go is like 35. If he makes it to 40, I will be happy. I will like run to the podium and draft him because I really like Troy Franklin. Like I said, picking between him and Xavier Legette at 40, it was super tough, but I want to switch it up, take Troy Franklin because I really think he is an excellent prospect. And if he does fall to 40, I would run to the podium and select him with the 40th overall pick. Next up, round 3, pick 67 overall, I have us taking defensive end Jonah Elliss out of Utah. We addressed the defensive end position in free agency, signing Dorrance Armstrong. He's going to be starting at one of our defensive end positions. But now we signed Dante Fowler and Clelin Ferrell. I look those two guys as depth rotational pieces, but I'm not sure if I 100% like them as our other starting edge rusher or defensive end. That's why I am not opposed to us selecting a defensive end in the first 3 or 4 rounds, specifically rounds 2 and or 3. And Jonah Elliss is one of my favorite guys who is projected to go late second round, early round 3, or just in the middle of the draft in general. So like round 2 to round 4. So I like Jonah Elliss a lot. He's 6'2", 248. So he's a bit, undersized, but he's still very good. He's very agile and quick in lateral pursuit. Oh, another guy that I could see us taking in round 2 or maybe round 3 if he falls, but most likely round 2 with 36th or 40th overall pick, Chop Robinson, edge rusher out of Penn State. He's had a very good pre-draft, process so far. He ran like a 4.38 at the combine, I'm pretty sure, which is insanely fast for an edge rusher. I might be wrong, like a 4.4. It's somewhere in the 4.4s, or maybe in 4.38. Not 100% sure. All I know is though he ran super fast, and we knew he was gonna run super bit fast because he's like 6'3". I'm pretty sure like 250 pounds. But I feel like if we were to get him in with one of our second round picks, he could be a very important asset for Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.'s defense. But back on track to Jonah Elliss. He's very agile, like I said, and quick in lateral pursuit. He has great acceleration off the line of scrimmage, which is very important when trying to get to the quarterback. And he's very physical against the run. Now, he's not the greatest against the run, but when he is, involved in the run, when he does get to the running back, he's very physical against the running back when he does get to them. But that's the one thing he needs to work on. Teams can easily run the ball to one side, which is the side he is at maybe. So that's one way teams can abuse the run against him. So that's something he does need to work on. He also has average bend. He has been rattled with injuries over the past 2 seasons and does not have amazing lower body strength. So the injury part, teams could see that as, oh, he's a bit injury prone. He's gotten injured for the past couple seasons, which could be a concern. But I don't think that should be too much of a concern because he has, been able to stay. I'm pretty sure he's a senior or like a 5-year senior. He's been in college for 5 years. But I feel like he is a really good prospect, mid-round, second, third-round prospect that the Commanders should definitely keep an eye on. And I feel like he fit our scheme really good. He has good pass rush skills. All I feel like he really needs to work on the most is, his run defense, because he can be physical against the run, but he just needs to work on his run defense a little bit more. So that's Jonah Elliss. Now on to the next guy. So with our second round 3 pick number 78 overall, I was taking cornerback Cam Hart. Cornerback right now is a big need for us, in my opinion. I know we signed Noah Igbinoghene, Michael Davis, James Pierre, but really, Igbinoghene and James Pierre, really depth signings in my opinion. And Michael Davis, he could be a potential starter. We'll see, maybe a cornerback 3, maybe cornerback 2, but most likely a cornerback 3 at best. But in my opinion, we still need to draft the cornerback. I would love it if we were to sign Stephon Gilmore because I'm just not comfortable, like super comfortable. I wouldn't mind it, but I'm just not super comfortable going into the season, with either Benjamin St. Juste or maybe Emmanuel Forbes as our cornerback 1, or relying on our rookie to be our cornerback 1. But regardless, still going to have us taking a cornerback pretty early on in round 3. Cam Hart out of Notre Dame. Cam Hart, he is a super good cornerback prospect. He allowed I don't think he allowed a single touchdown this past season, and has only allowed 5 touchdowns throughout his entire collegiate career. Some of his strengths, well, he's 6'3", 202 pounds, and you see a recurring theme with the cornerbacks we have signed so far. I mean, Michael Davis, he's 6'2", 6'3". James Pierre, he's 6'2". We already have Emmanuel Forbes on this roster, who's lengthy at 6 foot, and then Benjamin St-Juste, he's 6'3". So we got tall cornerbacks on this roster, and I feel like Cam Hart is a guy that, you know, Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn will love, because he is a lengthy cornerback who is very, very good in coverage. Like I said, 0 touchdowns allowed this past season. He has a great size and length for a cornerback. Physical against his matchup, and he matched up very well against Marvin Harrison Jr. this past season. And he did not allow a single touchdown in 2023, like I just stated. Another guy we might be interested is Kyrie Jackson. He's like 6'2", 6'3". He was locked down at Oregon last season, 2023. He would be another cornerback prospect that I would absolutely love for us to draft in the 3rd round. But back on track to Cam Hart. Some of his weaknesses include not a whole lot of a lot of ball production. I don't think he had a single interception this past season, but you know, having interceptions isn't it all. Obviously, we've seen it with Emmanuel Forbes. I know that Ron Rivera and JDR, they didn't put him in the best position to succeed, but you know, having a ton of interceptions in your collegiate career, you know, that all the time does not transition to the NFL. We saw it with Emmanuel Forbes, like I said, 14 interceptions in his collegiate career with 6 pick sixes. I want a lockdown cornerback. I want our Sauce Gardner. I want our Jalen Ramsey. And I don't think Cam Hart, you know, I'm not saying Cam Hart will be that, but I feel like he can definitely be a really good lockdown quarterback for us. I'm not hoping for interceptions, a lot of interceptions, maybe a pick or 2, maybe 3 per season, but I just want you to be absolutely locked down, force incompletions, force pass deflections. So that's really what I want with Cam Hart, and I feel like he can do that. Now, he is a bit inconsistent at finding the ball in the air on deep passes, and has had 2 shoulder surgeries in his collegiate career. So injuries could be a bit of a concern with him, but I don't think that should be a huge concern, because he was fully healthy at Notre Dame this past season. So overall, Cam Hart, he would be an amazing cornerback prospect for the Washington Commanders to target in the draft. All right, so with our third round pick 100 overall, I have us selecting right tackle Blake Fisher out of Notre Dame. He's a pretty good right tackle prospect. First off, he's big. He's 6'6", 310 pounds. He's considered by a lot of people that he's more of an developmental prospect, which, you know, selecting developmental prospect with a 3rd round pick, you know, kind of questionable, but hear me out. He's pretty good. He's a very good prospect. He could learn behind Andrew Wiley for a year, because it does seem like Adam Peters is comfortable going into this season with Andrew Wiley as our starting right tackle. I'm personally not, but Adam Peters seems like he is, because we didn't address the tackle position at all, besides, you know, re-signing Cornelius Lucas this free agency. So we're definitely going to draft a left tackle. I just do not know what we're going to do at right tackle, and I feel like Blake Fisher, he could be our answer at right tackle for the future. His strengths, he's very athletic with explosive hips and hands. That is very good to see. He has impressive agility, and he has very good arm length, which is all very good. I want to see what his arm length was at the NFL Combine, what he measured in at. But he's really freaking good. I mean, the athleticism is there. The potential is there. You know, we did hire Bobby Johnson this offseason, which, you know, he isn't the greatest offensive line coach. I mean, the Giants gave up, 80-some sacks this past season, which is the 2nd most in NFL history, which is unbelievable. So that's not great, but, you know, Dan Quinn and co., he hired him, so I'm just going to have to trust them. Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, they've given me no reason not to trust them, but hopefully the Bobby Johnson hire turns out to be good. But his arm length is 34 3/8 quarter of an inch. So 34 inches in arm length, that's pretty good right there. Some of his weaknesses, though, include needs to play with more consistent control and pass protection, and he needs to learn how to play with tighter hits. But I little tighter hips, tighter hands. Sorry, but I think both of those are very, you know, he can get coached up. Those can get fixed right away. Bobby Johnson, like I said, isn't the greatest offensive line coach, but I feel like that can get coached up right away, and I feel like he can be really good. He just maybe needs like a year or two, sitting down with the clipboard in his hand, just learning, developing, and then when his name gets called, he gonna be ready. He can be a very, very solid tackle for us. As long as he gets the proper development, I think he can be a very solid right tackle for us in the foreseeable future. All right, so in round 5 with pick 139, I have a selecting tight end Theo Johnson out of Penn State, and he tested very, very well at the combine. He has a perfect 10 RAS score, which is the best out of any tight end in this draft class. I think the best out of any tight end over the past decade or two, which is unbelievable. He is an athletic freak. He's 6'6", 259 pounds, and honestly, I'm just giving you guys a tight end that we could potentially target maybe in the 3rd or 4th round, because not gonna lie, I would be kind of surprised if he were to fall to the 5th round. If he falls to the 5th round like 139, I would definitely run to the podium and pick him, because this dude's a beast. Like I said, 6'6", 259 pounds. He has excellent size for a tight end. He can make contested catches more times than not, and can track passes vertically, which is all very good. Now, some stuff he does need to work on is he's a bit of a slow strider, which that's you can definitely change that. You can definitely improve that in the league. He can improve his hand technique when blocking, specifically like offensive linemen, or not even offensive linemen, defensive linemen or edge rushers or linebackers. So he could definitely work on that, and spacing in his blocking as well. But those are his only weaknesses. Those are definitely, he can definitely get those coached up. He can definitely get those fixed, because overall, I love this dude. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like the second tight end to go off the board, because we know Brock Bowers is the best tight end in this draft class. He's gonna go in the 1st round. He's gonna go top 10. We just don't know to what team. The Chargers probably like him. The Jets maybe. The Bears. So we'll see where he goes. And then the second best tight end is up for grabs. Really, I feel like between JT Sanders, Theo Johnson, maybe Benson Knott, or Cade Stover. I like all of those guys. I wouldn't mind taking them in like the 3rd round or 5th round. But Theo Johnson, he's an absolute beast. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like the 3rd or 4th tight end to go off the board, because he's really freaking good. And, placed on the right team, I feel like a team can get the best out of him, especially, us having Cliff Kingsbury. I feel like Cliff Kingsbury can get a lot out of him. And we signed Zach Ertz, who's going to help develop him on the field, groom him in the tight end room, which I love a lot. So if we were to get Theo Johnson, maybe like the 3rd or 5th round, I would absolutely love it. All right, with our second round 5 pick, pick 152 overall, I have a selecting safety Josh Proctor out of Ohio State. He's pretty much a pure free safety, which you can consider we don't really have right now. I mean, Derek Forrest, he did play free safety. He did start at free safety across from Cam Curl in 2022 and in 2023 before he got injured against the Bears Thursday Night Football Week 5. But I feel like he played better at strong safety, honestly. I mean, Week 1 against the Jaguars in 2022 when Cam Curl was injured, he stepped in for Cam Curl, and he was very good against the Jaguars. He had an interception, had some big hits, had some big tackles. He made some big plays for us in that game at strong safety. So I wouldn't mind moving him to strong safety. And then Jeremy Chin, he can play at strong safety. He's going to be playing everywhere, though. Linebacker, slot cornerback, off the edge. He's going to be playing everywhere for us. So, Jeremy Chin, he's just going to be our defensive weapon. So you could say we need a pure, deep, free safety. And Josh Proctor, he can be that. He's 6'1.5", 199 pounds, so that's solid size for a safety. Now, he is a bit of an older guy, which is kind of a negative for him. I think he's like a 5th or 6th year senior in college, which is kind of crazy. So he's like 23, 24 years old. And he's old. I'm not going to say old, because 23, 24, that's not old. But compared to everyone else in this draft, that's a bit older. Some of his strengths, though, he's a good agility. He has good agility, as a short area tackler. He has good speed in pursuit and great at recognizing routes and play designs. That is very good right there. Recognizing play designs, where the wide receivers are, what play they're going to run. That is really good right there. And so some of his weaknesses, though, include he has a bit of a sloppy back pedal when playing off-man coverage, and he's inconsistent getting off of blocks, so maybe against linebackers, tight ends. Sorry, not linebackers, tight ends or maybe running backs. So he does need to work on that. But that's all fixable right there. Another guy that we may be interested in is Tyler Owens. He is pretty athletic, if I'm not mistaken. He's just a bit raw, which, we could get him up to full speed in the NFL. We could develop him. I feel like our DB coach, I think is Donatel, I'm pretty sure. He was the Chargers DB's coach last year. I don't think, he's not bad. He's not a bad DB's coach. He's not the greatest because obviously the Chargers, secondary was pretty bad this past season. But hopefully, he could get the best out of a guy like Tyler Owens if you were to draft Tyler Owens, because I do like his potential. He just is a bit raw. But Josh Proctor, I feel like with his experience, he could come in here and maybe not immediately start at free safety for us, but get some playing time there at free safety and have a lot of work, a huge workload on special teams. So that's Josh Proctor. Now on to the next guy. And with our final pick in the draft, round 7, pick 222 overall, I was selecting linebacker Curtis Jacobs out of Penn State. He has very solid size at 6'1", 241 pounds. He plays with solid strength as well. He has good use of hands and man coverage, which is really good. And he's solid at reading the quarterback's eyes in coverage, which is all good right there. We have struggled a little bit. Well, our linebackers as a whole have struggled with covering tight ends and running backs over the past couple of years, like 4 or 5 years or so. So Curtis Jacobs, he would provide a big boost. I mean, we already signed Frankie Louvu, who is excellent in coverage and is excellent at rushing the quarterback. So Curtis Jacobs, bring him in here would make him like a 4th linebacker, maybe 5th linebacker, because, Jeremy Chinn, he's going to be used as a linebacker a lot and in coverage. But Curtis Jacobs, he would be, a very good, legit 4th linebacker. He will be really good. Some of his weaknesses include he lacks strength to hold his ground against good blocking tight ends, and shows to diagnose, identify run plays. So that's something he needs to work on, identifying run plays. And I feel like, get in the weight room a little bit and, get better at holding your ground against good blocking tight ends. And I feel like both of those weaknesses are definitely fixable. Ken Norton, he is one of the best linebacking coaches in the NFL. He played in the NFL and has coached in the NFL and in college for a very long time. So I have no doubt he would be able to get Curtis Jacobs up to playing speed in the NFL. So that is it for the mock draft. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Leave a like down below. Subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm getting really close to 3,000 subscribers. I think I'm like 5 or 6 subs away. So if you could hit that sub button, I'd really appreciate it. And other than that, it's been King Sean, and I'm out. Peace.